Good evening from Washington. I'm Doug Blair, in for Larry O'Connor tonight. And the saga surrounding Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and the corruption scandal continues. We are getting more news as mounting evidence suggests that the president was lying every single time he said that he wasn't involved in his son's business dealings. Here to help us analyze all of that and more is Joe diGenova. He's the former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Joe, thank you for joining us tonight.
No, it's my pleasure.
So I want to start out with Hunter. So the latest development, it seems, over Hunter Biden is that he's now suing the IRS over the release of his tax records. And obviously, this is sort of the implication that got this whole thing started, is that there was some untoward behavior on his payments. So, Joe, is there anything here? Does Hunter Biden have a case surrounding this lawsuit?
No, because the whistleblowers followed all the legal requirements for releasing the tax data. It went to the House Ways and Means Committee, and then it was the House Ways and Means Committee that released the data, and then the whistleblowers were allowed to talk about it when they appeared before Congress, and they were allowed to talk about it in public. By the way, this is fascinating. What this means is Hunter's lawyers and Hunter are suing his father. His father runs the IRS, so Hunter is suing Daddy. This is an even more bizarre twist.
It seems like there's not all it's not all great in paradise over there in the Biden household. So, I think that that's an interesting angle for us to take here. Like, if you're suing the IRS and you're suing the federal government, obviously his father is at the head of that. Are we to make something of this? Is this sort of like a distraction that, he's now trying to pretend like, I'm holding the government accountable because even if my dad is in charge, I'm still going to sue them? Or does he think that there genuinely is a way he wins this case? What is the logic here?
Well, there is no logic. This is a head fake. This is a distraction. It's designed to make people think that he's been harmed. He knows perfectly well, and so do his lawyers, that he's been not harmed or been treated illegally. His lawyers know what the whistleblower rules are. This is an example of how when somebody has the wherewithal, they can game the system and do what's called lawfare, which is the abuse of the legal process to their advantage. Now, fascinating as it is, that the Biden administration has been using lawfare in the criminal sense against former President Trump, against parents who go to school board meetings, against pro-lifers. And now we find that Hunter Biden has picked up the tactic of his father and his administration and his Justice Department and is using that tactic against the IRS. This is an example of when a conspiracy gets so big, so broad, so far-reaching, and implicates so many people in a given family, the only thing you can do to protect yourself is to fight back, even though the fighting back is fake. Right. They know perfectly well that this is completely proper, what these whistleblowers did.
Right, exactly. And it sort of plays into this larger narrative, again, that the Biden family is so corrupt and so embroiled in this scandal that they're basically going to try any way to get out of it, especially since James Comer, the Oversight Committee chair, has just basically announced that this pile of evidence is humongous. He said in a statement that the president lied at least 16 times to the American people. So you viewers, he lied 16 times to you. It's a quote from Comer here. I want to go back to where we were in January when we started this investigation. The narrative was that the president's son's laptop was Russian disinformation. Hunter Biden was a legitimate business guy. No Biden ever took money from China. No money ever changed hands. Joe never knew nothing about his business dealings, and Joe never met or spoke with any foreign nationals who had wired the family money. Every single one of those narratives has completely fallen apart.
Well, that, of course, is the pattern with the Biden family and certainly with President Biden. He lies about everything, whether it's a story about his family, their origins, his life in Scranton, whatever life it was, his life in Wilmington, Delaware, his life in law school. What you are watching is the disintegration of a man who basically his whole life has been a lie. And when it comes to an end like this, and we are watching the end, by the way, of Joe Biden's public life, there is no way he survives this. The Democrats know that. He's basically now a piece of stale toast. And what they're going to try and do is to figure out how to get rid of it. They're going to throw that piece of toast away. Just think of it. This is the president of the United States. He won't hold news conferences. He doesn't want to be in public. He falls asleep at meetings. This is the president of the United States, of the greatest country in the world. This is an embarrassment. And by the way, the Democrats are going to do everything they can to prevent this from coming to a head, but there's nothing they can do about it now. I mean, the president is such a bald-faced liar. And by the way, every lie that he tells is an overt act as part of the family conspiracy. And unless our friends have forgotten, every time you commit a new overt act in a conspiracy, it revives the statute of limitation on all past crimes. And that includes Hunter Biden's past crimes for which the statute of limitation has already expired.
Absolutely. And it seems as if they can't seem to win on the merits of Joe Biden as the president, so they're going to try and do everything, including lawfare, as you've mentioned earlier, to try and make him a more palatable candidate. Another thing they're trying to do is target the former president, President Donald Trump, who seems to be most likely will be Joe Biden's opposition in the 2024 presidential election. We have reporting that in Fulton County, a judge has ruled that the Trump RICO defendants cannot be tried together RICO racketeering charges regarding the Georgia election fraud sort of accusation here. This was a win for the Trump president, or the Trump campaign, that they had asked there to be a separation of all of these particular candidates. But it seemed like Fani Willis, the DA over in Fulton County, desperately wanted to try them together. Is this just another attempt by partisan Democrats to get former President Trump in, to maybe empower President Biden to do better in 2024?
There's no doubt about that. I mean, the entire indictment from Fulton County is a legal joke. It's an embarrassment. If the trial judge in this case has any ethics or professional standards, the likelihood of this case surviving a motion to dismiss is very, very low. This case cannot survive a motion to dismiss. Couple that with prosecutorial misconduct, which Fani Willis has engaged in from the beginning of the case. This is clearly an attempt to get Trump. Remember, Fani Willis campaigned on getting Trump.
Right.
This was her biggest selling point. So I think that is the easiest and most logical conclusion, is that they're doing everything they can to keep him tied up in courtrooms so he can't campaign. And I think that's going to be a miserable failure, because even if he is in a courtroom, those courtrooms are going to be televised.
Right.
People are going to follow those. And no matter what the evidence is in these cases, it will be irrelevant from a political standpoint, because they have made Donald Trump a martyr. He is now Saint Donald. And the only thing that's missing is the crown of thorns.
Absolutely. And phenomenal imagery there, Joe. Final question here, as we got about a minute left, is when you have a DA that is so obviously partisan, who has said multiple times, my goal here is to get Trump, and she has said multiple times, the reason I want these court cases to go ahead the day before Super Tuesday is because it would screw with his campaign schedule. Is there any way to remove her? I mean, she's clearly such a partisan actor. Can she be removed from that position?
No, I think under the law in Georgia, apparently not. But one thing is certain, you'll notice that the bar in Georgia has said nothing about her. The American Bar Association has said nothing about her. The judges in the district appear to be giving her free rein, very little supervision. She's an elected official. This apparently is what the people of Fulton County want. So I have a suggestion. By the way, the president of the ABA is a woman named Mary Smith, who used to work for Barack Obama. She's a total loser. I have a suggestion for people. As long as Fani Willis is the DA in Fulton County, Georgia, going to Atlanta is dangerous. Stay out of Atlanta, everybody. Move your meetings. Go someplace else. You can't trust a prosecutor like that. She will frame people who come to her jurisdiction.
Smart advice from Joe diGenova, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Joe, thank you so much for your stunning analysis.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, we have got more to come on O'Connor Tonight. Keep it here. It's the Salem News Channel.